Hello, everybody, and welcome to another great episode of Sphere of Success, where we talk about adversity and challenge, and perhaps how they might even be positive things that happen in our business lives to make us go on to greater things. You never know, sometimes they're step ups rather than setbacks. Today, I'm with the wonderful Hamish Niven. We've met recently, haven't we, Hamish? And you've become a dear friend. It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you very much. I've been looking forward to chat with you on your show. This is great. So thank you.
Oh, lovely. And I was just speaking to Hamish and the beautiful artwork that he's got behind him from South Africa. We both agree that that's going to share the screen with us today. So that's lovely. And Hamish is the most amazing person, everybody. He has overcome addiction, quite severe addiction to alcohol. He has had the most amazing career, and he was battling with his addiction while having that amazing career. As many of us do, it can be something which we think is helping us at the beginning and then starts to take over. He's been in television, he's traveled the world, he's been in America, he's been in South Africa. I won't say too much, but Tuscany, taking photographs of beautiful things. Hamish has got the most beautiful soul. Spirit is just, he just lights up the room. So it is an absolute pleasure to have him speak with us today. I know you're going to find words of wisdom. Um, Hamish, I'd love you, if you wouldn't mind, to just give us a brief outline of your journey as to where you were with your amazing career and where you are now.
Well, first of all, thank you very much. I'm not sure I can compete with that introduction, but I will give it a go. Um, yeah, where does it begin? I think it probably begins when I decided I wanted something. I decided I wanted to work in the TV industry, as you do when you do a degree in engineering, because they've got so much in common. Um, But I finished my degree and then I decided I wanted to get into TV. So I went down to London and came back. I took a bus down 2 weeks later. I hitched down, I drove down when I could borrow my grandfather's car. I did that for 6 months. I was going to get a job in TV, and after 6 months, I did. I got the job I wanted and moved to London. And that began probably the most fantastic of my first careers. And I traveled, I got to see places, I got to go inside of the pyramids, places that people don't go very often, maybe 1 or 200 a year, climbing through a gap about that kind of size, remembering there was 1 billion tons of rock above my head and even more below, which was quite scary. Um, Helicoptered around Ireland, visiting lighthouses, telling stories of lighthouse owners from the 1800s and 1900s, and it was remarkable. It was really, really remarkable. And however, it's one of those businesses where you work hard and you play hard. And Irish has good Guinness. So I drank, and it was just part of life. Drinking was part of life, and it was just what happened. Sociable, kept me going, made me hang out with people. I enjoyed being with people, and it was just that. Um, Wind forward a few years, I was still drinking. My mum got sick and died, and I didn't go and see her enough. So that really tipped me over the edge. I thought she was going to be fine. I thought she'd recover from cancer. And that probably was the biggest tipping point in my life because going on, doing this, doing that, things weren't brilliant. And then she died, and it just went like that. And I really hit the bottle then. I got sick. I lost a lot of weight, gave up the TV industry, and started the photography, which you talked about. Um, and that was nice. Me and a camera in Tuscany, and it was beautiful, really, really lovely. And away from London, I didn't drink. I had fun. I enjoyed it. I might have the odd little bit, and it was fantastic. It really was very special time. Just going to houses, driving around the countryside. And then in 2006, I got married. 2005, I got married and went to South Africa, where that picture is from. And I lived there for 14 years, and I was very successful as a photographer, had a great bunch of friends. Again, the drinking became more common. My wife moved over after a couple of years, and it was really, really good for a while. But by then, I was drinking too much, and it began to just compromise just a little bit. And then over time, it compromised a little bit more and a little bit more. And then towards the end, it was a disaster. I was trying to squeeze everything together. All my clients who weren't working for me, they weren't doing this, they weren't paying me. The relationship, I didn't know how to do this, I didn't know how to have conversations. And it all fell apart. And I came down to two choices. I had to choice to live or die. Um, I'm here, I chose life and put myself through rehab. And that was tough because I worked out what emotions were. I thought there were four emotions: rage, hate, fear, and love. That's what I thought there was. And then I realized there were 100,000 plus more. Um, but rehab allowed me to sort of find Hamish again and realize who he was. And I cried for 3 weeks, just anything. How are you doing, Hamish? Tears. And on it went. Um, and that basically was the start of turning my life around and realizing that I didn't need alcohol to be part of a community. I didn't need drugs to connect with people. That was all, it was all external. I mean, this is retrospective, what I've realized more recently. But that's what happened. And then, yeah, due to the drinking and everything else, I had to leave South Africa. I left my wife and I returned to England in the middle of COVID. So no job, no house, no stuff, no wife, no dog, no clients, no business, just a highly supportive family. And I was able to start all over again, really. So that was a pretty epic midlife crisis, and that really just started everything or carried on everything changing to who I am becoming now. Is that a short enough review for you?
Well, Hamish, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being so open and vulnerable to let people know who could be experiencing a journey that resonates with, that there is comfort in the darkest of moments. There is light at the end of that tunnel. And that's not a glib thing. That's actually really, really key to keeping one focused and moving one tiny step a day, maybe going backwards, but moving forwards ever so slightly towards
Mm.
that outcome of beautiful light that we can have. And that the support of your family. Some people don't have that,
Yeah.
but there is support out there no matter what you're going through, how bad things may feel. And I say may feel because sometimes our perception of reality isn't the truth, it's what we construct. And Hamish, thank you, because by showing your vulnerability, I truly believe that we can enter into people's hearts and minds and it can switch between life and death.
Mm.
And that's the most beautiful thing. And the reason why I set the podcast up is because I was going through a nervous breakdown at the time of running my own business. And every time somebody asked me, "Are you okay? How are you?" I go, "I'm fine."
Yeah.
Oh, I was so not fine. I mean, it was almost like a black comedy, not
Mm.
fine. So thank you for that. Now, moving on to not necessarily, I don't want to class, this as fluffy bunny rabbits and rainbows because this is tough stuff. This is tough stuff that we go through. So I'm not diminishing it, but that light at the end of the tunnel, you moved from a continent to another one. You moved without anything. Where would you say on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest that you could ever be, to 0 being rock bottom? Where were you at that point?
When I finally plucked up the courage to say to somebody, I think I got a drinking problem, I was at probably one. I wasn't destitute, I wasn't homeless, but that doesn't matter. It's not comparing, it's not comparing to somebody else. But I was, I was throwing empty bottles of beer out of the car as I was driving home because that was less shameful than getting home with empty bottles in the car and you're drunk again. Or, have you been drinking? Or putting them out into the recycling bin. It was much easier, less painful to throw them out of the window. So that's where I had got to. It was as grim as that. It was horrible. It really was. It was absolutely horrible. I was lying to people. I was self-destructive. So that was absolute zero, or one, as I said. That was when I realized I had to change. And, I did the bravest thing I ever could do. I asked someone for help. It's just a shame I hadn't done it any sooner, but that's blokes for you, unfortunately. We're not very good at asking for help.
That's a very interesting say, shame you didn't do it sooner. And again, I do believe now, from having gone through my own experience, that things happen for a reason at the time they happen. And the self-compassion that we give each other, we give ourselves, because if it were a friend, we wouldn't put that pressure on a friend. We'd say, well done for doing it now. It's not the shame in that sense for me, can only ever speak from my own personal thought process and experience. It's different for everybody I know. But the fact that it happened when it happened was because it was meant to happen then.
Mm. Yeah.
And everything was the culmination of choice before that point, and the choice to change happened at that point for that reason.
Yep.
So what would your advice be on somebody who feels at this point that there's no hope, that they're just before, they say that the darkest hour is just before dawn? When somebody's going through that darkest moment, what would be your advice to them?
Talk to somebody. Um, there's probably nobody in the world who would actually condemn you for saying, I need help. Maybe an ex, but that's being really facetious. So I would say nobody would um, not listen to you, not give a space for you, and certainly you wouldn't, certainly I wouldn't. Contact me, contact you, contact Samaritans in the UK, other countries, whatever the equivalent is, but talk to somebody, because you have been doing the best that you can. Throwing those bottles was better than getting caught. That was my best. So everything you've done has been your best. So from that, you can't shame yourself. So ask for help. Very quickly, I asked somebody for help who I didn't know very well. He wasn't one of my friends, close friends. He didn't know my other friends. So I said to him, hey, I think I've got a drinking problem. And he, no judgment, he said, okay. And he said, oh, don't worry about it. I went to rehab 18 years ago. I've been clean for 18 years. So of all the people in Cape Town I could have asked, I asked an ex-addict who was able to give me no judgment and say, dude, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So, you don't know who you ask. You might ask someone who can say, yeah, I can help. You've got life to gain by asking for help.
And that's a very interesting way that you've described that person's reaction. And when I went through therapy, thinking that I was the only one, that this was peculiar to me, that in some way I was special. And I said, I'm insane. I'm the one that's mad. I'm crazy. There's no hope for me. And she said, Deborah, just let me let you know, you are a classic case. You are classic. And that kind of reframed everything for me, because I felt for the first time in my life that I wasn't on my own, and that not that this is normal in the sense for everybody, but it was normal behavior for a human being to do what I was doing. And that normalization of it meant that I had a position which other people have been through this and they've come out the other side. And that was incredibly helpful in a way that I just thought, okay, kiddo, other people have done this. You can do it. How would you say having an addiction isolates you from other people?
Shame. Just shame. You're It's a coping mechanism. It is a way of dealing with stuff that you don't know how to deal with. Uh, it is not a lot more complicated than that. Yes, it's become a habit. It's a crutch, but it is shame. We go, oh God, why can't I be like a normal person? Why do I have to drink? Why can't I stop it? Why can't I? Why can't I? What if, could, should, need, must, all of these expletives that we put in front of ourselves. It is a coping mechanism that has kept you alive. Ironically, if I hadn't been drinking, I would have probably gone mad, committed suicide. I don't know. But it took the edge away. It stopped me communicating. It stopped me feeling useless or ashamed or what's the word I'm looking for? Not part of a group of people because it isolated me. Alcohol does this, drugs do this, food does this. It makes your world smaller. You don't want to connect because you're shamed. You know, society says it's a bad thing to do. Um, and you just get smaller and you isolate. And then it's self-perpetuating. So and as you said, you're not the only person. I wasn't the first person to have a drinking problem. You are unique, absolutely, Deborah, but you're not the first person to go to have a mental breakdown. I'm not the first person either, and I'm unique. Um, so yeah, be gentle, ask for help, and shame is, open the window. As soon as you ask for help, you're opening a window, and all the shame gets washed away. And it
Mm.
does. I promise you it does. And then we just hang on to it because we feel we're bad people. And we're not. We were just trying to make sense of stuff.
Yes, 100%. Yes, just trying to make sense of stuff with the tools that we had available at the time. And then we can learn
Absolutely.
new tools and
Mm,
skills to serve
yeah,
us well for the future.
yeah.
Thinking about going through this transformational journey, because I do believe it's transformational, and in some cases, it can be having a metamorphosis where we actually change from a cellular level, the little grub, the little caterpillar that goes into the cocoon and comes out a butterfly. That is not the same entity that went in that comes out. Um, what does success look like for you now that you're on this journey?
That's an interesting question. Success before was income. Um, that was primary, and understanding my clients' needs and things like that. Success now is going for a walk in the woods when I haven't got to worry about things. Lying on the grass that needs cutting, on the phone to friends, having conversations like this, being able to share my story, the fact I'm alive, I mean, that's a flippin' success. And I have changed. There is no doubt about it. That worm that went into the rehab has come out. I'm not quite sure whether I'm a butterfly or a moth, but I've definitely come out transformed and healing and understanding. So success is inward. It really is. It is being able to go, yeah, I'm doing all right. I love myself and things like that. And these are words that took a long time to appear. And then you suddenly realize, or I suddenly realize, yeah, morning, dude, you look good in the mirror. It's like, crap, where did that come from? And it's a slow process that just sneaks up on you. I guess conversely or ironically, the same way that alcohol sneaks up on you and that drags you down, this picks you up and you're going, yeah, things are all right. I'm feeling successful. Not making lots of money. I'm having fun and I'm connecting with family and I'm peaceful. So I think that's my idea of success.
Sounds organic, natural, and evolving
Yeah.
in a good space. Yeah. Knowing that we're holding ourselves with space for the good things to come and appreciate them. Yeah. Now, I'd love to turn a little bit to your business because it's a far cry from TV and photography and all the wonderful things that you've done from that side of your creativeness. Um, how now are you trying to, or how now are you helping people to create wonderful lives from having suffered or being in the suffering space of addiction?
I got told the other day I have a voice for radio. I asked them whether I had a face for radio, and then they said, "Well, you're the expert on alcohol." So I'm not entirely sure what that means. I took it as I know about it, being that I've been there. Um, what I do now is help men who have a problem with alcohol, who may have a problem, know they have a problem, think they don't think they do, all that kind of confusion, or they don't know whether they're depending on it or it's a friend. And I'm helping them to look at why they're drinking, what is the reasons behind it, and helping them to sort of work out where they are and then take them to where they want to be. So it's looking at why they are using it as a crutch. Is it really necessary? And then moving them onwards. Now, the difference is a lot of people can't afford to get to rehab because it's very expensive. Um, a lot of people don't have the time or the resources to get to rehab, or worse still, if their bosses found out, if HR found out, it's going to be, end of career, all that kind of stuff. So it's specifically for people who have really high profile jobs, high pressure jobs, lots of stress. They've got great expectations on them from society, from clients, from whatever. And it's an online rehab that is going to be a 6 week program where they spend a bit of time with me each day and at weekends talking about understanding, learning those tricks and tools that you mentioned, and beginning to see what is important to them. Because at the end of the day, I show up for me, and then once I show up for me, I can be for other people. If I'm going to be people pleasing, doing this, doing that, it has such a toll on your life that you need something, a crutch, to pick you up, or to keep you going. Cocaine off the toilet seats to carry on working in the city, a drink or two or three after working in the bar, or and then a drink or two to wind down at the end of night. You don't need that. We just think we do. There's other ways to do it. So I'm helping men who've got stuck in that cycle to basically see whether it's necessary and then build themselves tools to move beyond that.
Mm, very interesting because it's a lifeline, especially when you say mentioning something to your employer could be a very career limiting move.
Mm.
And so I'd like you to let me know, or listeners know, when you are an employer, when that conversation happens, if somebody does approach you, or that other people within the organization have let you know about somebody's behavior or their drinking issues, or the fact that you've seen it for yourself, how would you help them to navigate that difficult conversation with the person that then perhaps they need to speak to be able to direct them perhaps to somebody like yourself?
The biggest thing is to have as much empathy as you can. And that doesn't necessarily mean very much, but it does mean just to understand that this person is going through stuff that you have no idea about. And if you're going to judge them, that is on you. Don't shame somebody. It's shaming anybody is the worst thing you can possibly do. And Helen, us addicts, ex-addicts, we are masters of it. So shaming people is just plain wrong. It's unhealthy and unhelpful. In fact, it's really damaging. But the best bet is just to say, look, go and talk to somebody. There are lots of people out there. There's lots of ways of doing it. AA works. That works. That's free. It's brilliant. There are other ways of doing it. There's expensive rehabs. There's rehabs abroad which are cheaper, less expensive maybe. There's all sorts of ways. Or have a conversation with me because, yeah, I'm the expert, so I'm told. I've been there, done that. And there is no judgment because well, there's just no point. I've firsthand experienced that, all that fear, all that, why did I do that, all that shame. You were not able to do any better. It's as simple as that. And employers really should understand that, but be able to say, dude, you have to get this sorted. At the moment, you're just being a prat. If you compromise a client, if you crash your car, you know, the consequences are too drastic. So have a conversation with somebody.
Mm, yes, and also for people's loved ones and family members, I went off to Al Anon, which is the support group for Alcoholics Anonymous, otherwise known as AA. And in Al Anon, it's for people who have alcoholics in their lives, whether it be a partner, a father, a mother, or a friend, colleague. Um, what would you say to those people who know of an alcoholic? How can they help them to seek help?
Ah, to be honest, that is a desperate place to be, because until that person with the problem knows they have a problem, you can do nothing. If you enable them, if it's a child or a young adult, you're giving them money, they're going to use it. Mummy, I need money, dad, I need money, business partners, that kind of thing. You're enabling, and they will just take and take. If you shame them, they will disappear, or worse. Um, there is no there is no easy way to do it, because we're not equipped to, because we love our partners, we love our children, we love our business partners, we love our friends, and we are just not equipped to begin to comprehend what is going on in that person's head. So it'll range from try shaming them, oh, for goodness sake, stop it, la la la. Nothing works. You just have to love them and put a boundary in and just say, you're not coming home drunk. You're not in my bed drunk. And if that boundary gets broken,
Mm.
it's as simple as that. And if that person wraps himself around a tree, it's not your responsibility. That's the problem. It's a loved one. So it is brutally difficult.
Mm.
And Al-Anon is spectacular to help, but you have to be hard. You just have to know that the only person in your life is you. They're with you for a time, and they may want to join you, they might not.
Yes, well said, because that does echo the full basis of Al Anon, not trying to fix, not trying to interfere, allow that loved one to go through their journey until they decide to do what they need to do. But I'm assuming that if you do have a loved one or anyone in your sphere, that people could reach out and speak with you to perhaps get the tools to know how to, if that person did say, yeah, I'm ready,
Mm.
that they could have a chat with you.
Absolutely. That's something I want to start doing in the new year, very much so, is making a more formal thing. But yeah, my doors are open for the partners of, the friends of, the business partners of, the lovers of, the children of, anybody, as well as the person struggling. Because it's just to get an understanding and have some tools, as you said. Um, yeah, so absolutely.
Well, Hamish, I have to say, you are the real poster boy, if you like, of, hitting rock bottom and getting to where you are now and journeying through that, because it's a lifelong, we can't ever say I'm there yet. We're always moving forward to a greater expectation or what have you of ourselves, but loving ourselves and being very comfortable with ourselves in the process at the time. Thank you, because your story is inspirational. As I said, you're a man with a massive heart, and it's just that spirit and knowing that you're in safe hands for people as well and not going to be judged,
Yeah.
and you're going to be listened to, is so vital. So I know that people would love to get in touch with you. Have you got contact details that you could just briefly give us here? They're all going to be on the show notes, but perhaps if anybody wants to pick up the phone right now, as it were, that could be helpful.
Absolutely. The easiest way to find me is just hamishniven.com. That's the website. or if you want everything all in one go, it's beacons.ai/Hamish Niven. So beacons.ai/Hamish Niven. Then you'll find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok and YouTube, because I have a podcast on YouTube as well.
Oh yes, and it's it's a brilliant one. Let people know the name of your podcast, please.
The podcast is called The Crucible: Conversations for the Curious, because curiosity is going to be the way that you will save your life. That is probably the best way to overcome any addiction, is to be curious, like, why am I doing it? What's gone wrong? Where can I get help? Why am I doing this? Do I really need to? So curiosity is the cure, I guess.
Well, it's just wonderful. And you, as I said to people, you've got that way about you where you just feel wrapped up in this most beautiful duvet and that you're safe and secure when you speak to you. So thank you so much, Hamish. And everybody, it's just been wonderful to spread some information that might be helpful for you and your loved ones or an employee or indeed yourself. We've both been there. I've done so many things wrong in my life. I could write a whole list. But it's not, it's all experience, and what can we learn from it at the end of the day? Because you know what, it's life, and if we can do it with a smile on our face and in our hearts and spread joy, well, why not? It's better than the other alternative. So thanks ever so much, everybody. Speak to you again soon, and bye bye for now. Take care.